Anthony Pellegrino from ChiroEdge. I'm really excited for this week's research breakdown. We have some really heavy hitters this week on everything from Meniere's disease to scoliosis to multiple sclerosis. All right, and they're just really good. And the reason I'm so excited about this week is because none of these are just case studies. All of these are larger scale studies with a larger sample size. They're some of the better, what I would consider to be studies in chiropractic. I want to go ahead and start with our study on multiple sclerosis. Now, this one is huge. If you guys just go ahead and Google Fonar, F-O-N-A-R, Damadian, MS, what you're going to see is a research article that is not written by a chiropractor. It's written by a medical doctor. Not only a medical doctor, the founder and inventor of upright MRI, which is what Fonar is, and he's going to talk about the role of basically misalignments of the spine in multiple sclerosis. And not only that, he's going to even talk about the benefits of specific chiropractic care for those misalignments, which is absolutely tremendous. The name of the article is The Role of, well, I forget the name of it off the top of my head, honestly. Role of craniocervical trauma in hemodynamics of cerebrospinal fluid in etiology of multiple sclerosis, something pretty similar to that. But anyway, what he found was when he looked at upright MRI, which is basically an MRI in what we look, as chiropractors look at in an upright weight-bearing position, he actually found changes in the flow of cerebrospinal fluid due to misalignments of the spine. Now, after a thorough history, what he was able to find was that these misalignments in the upper cervical area were actually a result of whiplash-type head and neck trauma from, and get this, an average of 8 years prior, right? 8 years asymptomatic, 8 years later they have symptoms of multiple sclerosis, which is just unbelievable, right? If you want some certainty to speak to somebody who maybe was in a minor sort of car accident, right, and say, hey, you need to get checked regardless of symptoms, I mean, this is it right there. So 8 years prior, right, they're in an accident. What happens is they have misalignments of the spine, and what it does is it literally obstructs the cerebrospinal fluid flow between the cranium, and the spinal cord, and actually causes an increase in intracranial pressure. And this obstruction is something that he was able to actually view on the upright MRI, which is phenomenal. All right? So he saw the obstruction, he sees the increase in intracranial pressure, and what he proposes is that increase in cerebrospinal fluid pressure causes leakage of cerebrospinal fluid into the brain, essentially. Okay? Now, because the CSF contains proteins, it's not just blood or water, it contains proteins. Those proteins actually stimulate an autoimmune reaction, right? They stimulate an autoimmune reaction that causes those brain lesions that are associated with multiple sclerosis, which is just, wild. If you've ever adjusted somebody and seen improvements with MS, that's probably what's happening. Now, he actually goes ahead and recommends, and he works with Dr. Scott Rosa, who's an AO doc, so this is all upper cervical here, okay, who actually goes and he recommends that these people with these misalignments that he viewed causing these obstructions of CSF get checked under upper cervical AO chiropractic. They receive very specific adjustments, and he actually saw those symptoms improve, right, by restoring a proper cerebrospinal fluid flow. Unbelievable, right? Huge certainty. Now, that's not published by a chiropractor. That's published by the inventor, the founder of upright MRI, which is amazing. Since we're on the topic of CSF, another study we have this week is all about Meniere's disease. All right, out of the Meniere's Research Institute, this is a chiropractic study, and what they found was that 300 consecutive patients in the Meniere's Research Institute, that's 300, right, consecutively, had a history of significant whiplash, craniocervical trauma, right? An average of 15 years prior. So MS was 8, right? This is 15 years. We already know what happens with those changes of in CSF flow, right? Changes in pressure on the skull. And he proposed that these whiplash-type injuries actually resulted in Meniere's disease, okay? What he did was, it's an upper cervical practice there, specific adjustments to the upper cervical spine, and in 291 of those 300 cases, that's 97%, with specific upper cervical adjusting, what they found was an improvement in symptoms. Unbelievable, right? That's tinnitus, deafness, and vertigo together. The improvement of symptoms might be, hey, maybe they still get dizzy, right? But it's not full-on vertigo. Maybe they still get nausea, right? But maybe they won't be vomiting. And that's just absolutely huge, right? That's a life change. People are reporting things like they have better relationships with their spouse through the improvement in Meniere's disease. The last study, and I'm going to go into this at a later time this week, the Meniere's study, as well as the scoliosis study. But this one isn't upper cervical specific. It's actually Pierce Results Systems. This is from some personal friends and mentors of mine, Dr. Jessica Hardin out of South Carolina, as well as Dr. Eric Jazuski out of New Jersey. Dr. Jazuski, I feel like we should go ahead and put him on payroll because it feels like every other week we have another article that he's written. What they did was they did a follow-up study, and they looked at scoliosis changes in 20 individuals from a follow-up study that originally was published with 36 subjects, but there were 20 remaining. And they went back and contacted these people and looked at them and found them and did another post-check of their scoliosis curve. They put it into two categories: subscoliosis, which is degrees of 7 to 10, and scoliosis, which is degrees of 11 or greater. And what they found was an improvement I think that right around, for everybody, they had been under care for about a year and a half. The scoliosis group was 1.26 years on average. The subscoliosis group was 1.7 years. And what they found was a significant improvement in total, overall, okay, of about 40% improvement in scoliosis for everybody. And, which is even greater, in the subscoliosis group, that's 7 to 10 degrees, of about 62%, which was statistically significant as well. So that's just some really, really great certainty for you guys. We're not going and saying, they're definitely not saying that, this is a treatment for MS, a treatment for Meniere's disease. However, it's really important to look at it and say, hey, if there's this subluxation present, right, if there was especially this trauma previously, if there's a subluxation present, it's going to result in many, many, many different issues, right? Not only symptoms, but functional issues as well. So I hope you guys got some certainty out of that. I'm going to go a little bit deeper with the Meniere's and the scoliosis articles later this week. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our family here. If you have any questions about this at all, if you wanted references, go ahead and post below in the comments, all right? If you guys could please go ahead and share this video as well, since this is some really, really good information to share with the community, really benefit the chiropractic profession. Have a great day, guys.